I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will, and welcome to 305 Live and my special segment with my co-host, which is known as Our Take, with my co-host of the I Hate Football podcast and, of course, College Blitz, which you can find with Russ Morgan on the FTSN Network Extra. Mr. Q from Mr. Q. How you doing, Q? How's everything going?
What's up, brother? Everything good?
Good. I just want to share with everybody I was messing with you before the show started, that you have the backwards hat that looks like the avatar that I made for you for our segment, man. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Trying to make, just kind of trying to link everything, man. The Abby with the real life, man. And I think we have we got some good synergy right there, man. So starting things off right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. But we do have a special guest today, as announced today on X. Thank you, Adrian, of course, from Rainy Day Podcast. Much love to him. Subscribe to Rainy Day Pod as well. Great content, man. Great content. And the special guest today is, you guys know him as the decked out Miami Hurricanes fan, aka the 12th man, but he is Shelton Douthette. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm used to seeing you in uniform, dude. I was like, man, I wonder who's gonna come dressed up in uniform, but I think Superman's a good look for you too, brother.
Oh yeah, big DC fan too.
Yeah, me too, actually. I'm a big DC fan as well.
Yeah, I'm mostly Marvels as well too. Like, because I do cosplay, so I mostly cosplay as Spider-Man. So
okay. Do you do Miles or Peter Parker?
Miles, I do have a Peter Parker one too.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Man, my costumes, huh?
Yeah. Well, my wife's cousin, he cosplayed. I think Miles Morales. He was dressed up as Miles Morales once at one of these cosplays over in Texas. So it's pretty neat. Miles is pretty popular, especially after the movie Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. Right. Well, Adrian says you're jacked. And I also agree with Adrian. Batman is the game, bro. I'm a big Batman fan. Q should know that because he's known me for 30 years. So yeah,
I do know that to be the case for sure.
All right. So I also want to make an announcement to everybody. I think it's the first time on this show I've ever had 3 public servants all together meeting to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. Myself, a teacher, Q, of course, who's a firefighter in the Atlanta area. And of course, Shelton, who just got accepted into the Miramar Police Academy, man. So how are you feeling, bro, that you're about to become a police officer?
I feel excited. Definitely honored and blessed to serve the community. I stay like right across the street from the Hard Rock Stadium, at 5 minutes away from the department. And I'm really excited to take this new chapter on in my life, and willing to show that all police officers are here to actually protect and serve. So,
yeah, I totally agree with you on that, man. I have friends who are police officers, including family members. So, thank you for your service in the Miramar area, which is not too far from my house, by the way, because I'm a Pines person. So, just to let you know,
okay.
As well. Yeah, man.
I'll stop by.
Yeah, man, you better. All right. But I want to get down to business before people are like, you never talk football, and stuff like that. The first 7 minutes. So I want to get down to business, man. People had us on upset alert, against USF. I never doubted Miami could beat the Bulls. I was pleasantly surprised that it was a 49-12 destruction and dismantling of South Florida. And I'll be very honest with you. It could have been a lot worse, because if it wasn't for 2 interceptions, I think Miami could have put 60 on the Bulls in this go around. I want to start first with you, Shelton. You were at the game. How was the atmosphere? And did you feel like early on Miami was going to just dominate this game right from the start?
Right at the beginning, it seemed like the offense was just clicking on all cylinders. And I think by the second drive, I was just saying like, they're definitely going to steamroll over them. The main thing I was really worried about was the mobile QB, because that's been our Achilles heel for like a while. So, but we pretty much kept it contained. I think he only had like 33 rushing yards that the whole game. So he didn't really get outside the box too much, and no disrespect to him, but like his passes weren't like on target. So we just try to keep him contained and make him throw instead of just run.
Yeah. Q, how did you find the game?
Bro, I'd be lying if I told you that I wasn't worried going into the game. I think when you look around, first and foremost, right, you always start with kind of the national media, right, and people who don't have a dog in the fight, right, because they're going to give you the most honest, and the most unbiased, type of view on the game. And you're listening to some of the people, it's ESPN, Fox, whatever the case may be. I wouldn't say there was a lot of people. I think kind of across the board, I didn't see many people pick South Florida to win the game, right? Even though they had just beat Florida, and obviously, coming off, 2 straight, wins over ranked opponents and the whole deal. But I did see a lot of people saying, "Hey, listen, South Florida's going to make Miami's life tough." Brown is looking really good. He's a guy who's going to be tough to bring down. He's a guy who's going to challenge the defense. So on and so forth. And it was awesome to see that was never ever the case. Right, going into it, I think the plan, that they had against him was great. I think he had total, if I'm not mistaken, what he had like 3 rushing yards total or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he had. I'm trying to find the numbers here. I have his passing numbers here. I don't have his rushing numbers in front of me.
Yeah.
But I can't find the numbers rushing. Shoot, those are the only ones I'm missing on his behalf. But
no, and you're good. But
he threw a lot more for sure.
He had a lot of carries for not a lot of yards. I think that was the case for the entire team. Really, when you're looking at it, I think just like Shelton mentioned, man, I think they ran for something like 30 yards. I want to say they averaged a yard and a half per carry, if I'm not mistaken. And so, when we look at the very recent past, when we're talking about the Miami defense, if this would have been, just last year, right? Even though they did beat South Florida handily, I think Byron Brown definitely made more of an impact, I think, when you're looking at yardage and the whole deal last year. And so, again, I was a little bit weary kind of coming into the game. It was like, okay, let's see kind of what happens because, we saw kind of at the end of the Notre Dame game, CJ Carr kind of get going a little bit with his legs, which is something that I don't think they expected. I think this was a little bit different in that they knew from the jump the game plan for USF was to have Byron Brown kind of lead that rushing attack. And so I love the way the game plan that they had, right? They didn't let them, get outside. They kind of kept everything, bottled inside and really held them in check. And so I didn't expect the final score to be what it was. I think that, line was like 17.5, which I thought, again, going into the week was a little bit high. But I'm glad to see they covered and then some. And I think starting off against a team like Notre Dame, right? You have the entire preseason to really have that name in front of you, that program as the target. And I just feel like you're at a different level in terms of practice. You're at a different level in terms of preparation. You're at a different level in terms of like just mentally and everything like that. So they didn't have to get up for anything. They started it off against Notre Dame. They kept it going, obviously against Bethune, which obviously we fully expected. And then leading into USF, there was no letdown. I think everybody was on point, on the same page, and got a really impressive win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wasn't that worried because I felt like we talked about, Boise State really wasn't that good. I didn't think they were a physical team, and I think Florida really beat themselves when they played USF. So, but I didn't expect that kind of a destruction. I conservatively picked a 10-point victory, but with a chance that I wasn't even surprised that they covered. But I was very impressed. I mean, they were ready for them. They're ready for everything. Heatherman had that team ready to play as well. That big play that they had where Jacoby Jones popped, Byron Brown. Ruben Bain was held, and he gets a lot of holds, and they don't call them. These referees don't call him. He should have 5 sacks at least, during the season alone, and he was severely held. He would have gotten a Brown if it wasn't for the fact that the referee didn't throw the flag. So I was.
You said Jacoby Thomas. You mean
Jacoby Thomas? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Jacoby Thomas. Thank you.
I was making sure.
Yeah, Jacoby Thomas. When he popped them really good, Ruben Bain was closing in, and Ruben Bain would have gotten to him if it wasn't for the hold. He literally had a whole shoulder pad, and the referee didn't call it at all. That play should have never happened. They got 3 points out of it. It wasn't much damage done, but that should have been basically. I think it was on 3rd down as well. That it should have been over on that drive. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I was very impressed with what I saw. I didn't expect that kind of like destruction of that team that I saw, from the get-go. But I agree with Shelton. From the moment Josh Moore caught that touchdown pass, I'm like, this is going to be a very interesting day for South Florida, especially after the second one with that beautiful throw where it was basically, he knew only Josh Moore could get it. I knew it was over for them right away. I was watching Ruffino and Dave, give their breakdown. They should do a good job. But Ruffino said that the score was a lot close. The game was a lot closer than the score indicates. And I'm sorry. I find that very. Yes, he said that. I laughed hysterically because, like I tell you, they should have scored over 60 points. Beck does not throw those picks. Those balls go in the end zone. And Miami was just dominating them, leaning on them. The running game, the passing game, the defense was very physical. This is a very physical defense. We're seeing it right from the jump as well. So I was very excited to see. I have the stat sheet with me. I want to break down the numbers with you guys. I'm not going to show it, but I'll just talk about it. Brown had 274 yards passing, 20 of 36, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I think obviously the reason why Brown had all those yards passing is because they had to throw a lot because they were behind. Okay, and Nimrod had 4 catches for 128 yards, and Neptune had 7 catches for 32 and a touchdown. So I mean, again, I think they pretty much bottled up Brown very much. So what I liked was the balanced attack by Miami. Let me just go to the total yards quickly altogether. Let's see, break it down. Top performers, Carson Beck. I already went through that. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going through the numbers here. Okay, Miami had 576 total yards, and South Florida had 332. But the oddity is 371 yards passing and 205 yards rushing. Talk about having a balanced team altogether. This is a very, very well complemented team altogether.
Yep.
Yeah, what I loved about that game on offense. Obviously, we talked about the defense. Now they kept USF, kind of bottled up. They held Byron Brown in check. The great thing to see about the offense is what they put on tape. Right, you saw Carson Beck. Even he faked out the cameraman, even right on the play action and rolled into the end zone. Right, the deep throws. Even though that Josh Moore throw was a better catch, I think, than it was a throw because he smoked the corner. And he had to come back and actually reach over the the
he underthrew a little bit.
Show some strong hands to hold on to that because in the corner kind of he did get his hands on it, but Josh Moore was able to to make the catch and so they had S.J. Alfaituli back there playing fullback and they had a lot of different things where if to me and the way I looked at that was, hey, listen, we're putting some stuff on tape now we're planning for next week. Right, we're planning on we're this is already the kind of the game plan. It's putting some stuff out there, to show Florida things that they have to prep for and everything like that. And so they look multiple. One of the things that I love about this offense now is when you looked at the preseason and what it is that we projected in terms of the skill position groups. Right, everybody projected. Obviously, Malachi Tony has been obviously as advertised in terms of spring practice. C.J. Daniels kind of the same thing, but a lot of the things that people were expecting in terms of say, hey, receiver JoJo Trader, right? He's like, hey, we're expecting big things. He's supposed to be the number one. JoJo Trader hasn't contributed, right? Hey, we're expecting Isaiah Lofton to be to take that next step. He's going to be this down the third. Isaiah Lofton hasn't contributed, and again, just for whatever the reason may be, right? Some people have said maybe he's banged up. Obviously, we know JoJo Trader has been banged up. We look at Jordan Lyle. Hey, Jordan Lyle he's going to be the next one, right? He's going to be, Mark Fletcher is going to be the number 2. Jordan Lyle is going to be the number 1. Hasn't happened. And what has been the result? One of the best offenses in the country, looking different than they did last year under Cam Ward, but looking really efficient, putting up a ton of points. And so, whereas in previous years, some of these projections that we had in terms of our frontline guys, not producing, we would see the fall off come in the offense. We haven't seen that this year, right? And that's showing depth, right? That's showing that we've got guys, we got talent sitting behind talent. It's showing the strength of the offense. It's showing Shannon Dawson as an OC, and him being able to pivot to other guys and not miss a beat. And so that it's a great thing to see that even after Cam Ward leaving, things looking different, but still an offense that is, you have to fear. An offense that is going to run the ball, an offense that is going to get playmakers in space, a guy in Carson Beck who isn't making who isn't making mistakes. Excuse me. He threw a couple picks against USF. One of those was definitely his fault. The other one, Malachi Tony, I think kind of, he got up there, I think a little bit too high, and he said he's a man. I didn't think Malachi Tony get up that high, and he tipped it, and again, a little miscommunication. But all in all, when you're looking at what this offense is doing, man, you have to be really impressed in that the guys that maybe were projected to be your number ones at the different position groups, really haven't, been so. And the offense has been really, really good, and they really haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
Shelton.
Go ahead, Shelton. I was gonna go to you, but go ahead, Shelton.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I want to compliment this team's composure, because it seems like they installed this attitude of let's get in there, let's take care of business, and get out. I mean, it's not too much flash. I mean, you do get like your flashes of showmanship and stuff like that, but then it seems like this team is really business-like now. Let's just take care of business, let's get this W and get out of here.
Yeah, I like that assessment from you, man. I think it's a team that's really buttoned up, right? And I think would be my term for it. I think there's a good mix on this team. They did a really good job of bringing in adults in the offseason, right? You saw what they thought of the different position groups based on who they added in the offseason, right? The cornerback room needed to be totally redone, right? So you saw just the influx of just bodies and talent, the whole deal. But they definitely got some adults back there. You got a guy like, Keontae, Thomas. You got a guy like, Keontae Scott. You got Jacoby Thomas, guys that are impactful, guys that are adults, right? Guys that are leaders, right? So on and so forth. And so you're looking at this team. They're enjoying the moment. But I think at the same time, it is, hey, listen, we're not surprised we're here, right? And I think they're enjoying the moment, they're processing it and turning the page, to the next opponent. And so, again, man, to piggyback off what you're saying, Shelton, I think it's a great thing to see. I think these guys are grounded. You're listening to these interviews and everybody's saying the same thing. They're not getting caught up in the hype. They're not getting, they're not looking past anybody. I listened to something with Jacoby Thomas today, and he was saying, he's like, no, we're right here, we're right now. We're focused on what we have in front of us. We know that, we're not gonna start listening to all the national media saying we're this and we're that. No, we're here, we're grounded, we're looking at what's directly in front of us, and we're gonna handle business. Then, next week we're gonna move on to the next person. So definitely like that assessment from you, man. And I love just hearing from, the way these guys are interviewing and the things they're saying, man. It definitely matches what we've seen on the field so far.
Yeah, before I get to my question for Shelton on the offense, I just want to say I totally agree. And if I want to add on, those are all Mario guys. Like, those are the kind of guys that Mario Cristobal likes. He likes the disciplined, yes sir, do your job type of athlete, type of football player. And we're seeing that with Keontae Scott. We're seeing that with Jacoby. We're seeing that with Popo. As well, we're seeing that with Teray. We're seeing that with Beck and the rest of the team. So these are the guys that Mario wanted to recruit. That when he came here, those weren't those guys. So he had a clean house, and he brought in his guys that fit his scheme and the personnel that he wanted and the football stylistic that he wanted to make and so on. And we're seeing basically what he's building on as well. Shelton, the question I wanted to ask you is that this was a game that I would honestly say they opened up the offense a little bit more. As a spectator in attendance, what did you think about that? Some of the different styles of play calling that they use at USF that we didn't see probably in the first couple of weeks for various reasons.
Well, I kind of like how they use Carson Beck's lack of mobility as a red herring, because nobody really expects him to run. He's not much of a runner. He's a pocket passer.
Yeah.
So I don't all the QB design runs. I never expected that out of Dawson, but I'm very much impressed with the play calling right now, especially with Fletcher, because Fletcher is a workhorse. Mm-hmm. Definitely somebody you can basically put the team on his back and he'll go get a first down. Like, okay, I'm gonna go get a first down. He was always leaning forward. Always leading with his head, and trying to get his momentum. Because once he gets his momentum, he just leans forward and just goes straight forward. He never really get knocked back.
Before we go to a quick word from our sponsor, Fan Outfitters, I do not want to ignore Juan, who is a very loyal listener to all our shows. Juan has a question for all three of us. Says, Will, Q, and Shelton, it's great to be a Miami Hurricanes fan. Who do you want as a guest speaker for game day? I want UM student Abela Danger as my pick. Who are yours? I'll start first with I don't know what that is, honestly. I'll start first with Q. I'll then go to Shelton, and I'll give my player. Well, Q's laughing. I think he knows who that is. I have no idea who that is. Go ahead.
Hey, Juan. Do you wanna let the people know who Abela Danger is for?
You see,
I
have no idea who that is. So forgive me.
Aren't familiar, maybe. I don't want to be the one to break the news. So.
Okay, wait for Juan to answer, but Q, who's your people? He wrote. Oh, okay. No, I'm not putting that. I'm not putting that at the. I don't want to upset Lids.
AD, ding ding ding.
Never mind.
she is a corn star for sure.
Okay.
So, that's why I started laughing. I didn't want to.
I'm not putting that on. I'm not putting on the feed.
On the first news, I was like,
Juan, no, I'm not putting on the feed, man. I'm a church boy, bro. So I had no idea who that was.
Oh Lord, that's hilarious.
Thank you.
So guest speaker, bro. You know that's one of the right. If you're looking at the culture and you know Miami's history and everything, you know that we've had in Miami, that is one of the, I guess, the downfalls. Right, it makes it really difficult to pick just one you know person from Miami. You know that you'd like to see. I think I can think of, and I think AD was talking about, he was talking about Ray Lewis. I know a lot of people, would have Michael Irvin. Man, as a guest picker, that's a tough one. Let's bring. And I haven't seen him in a while. I've seen him on some other stuff. Nothing major. But let's bring back our last Heisman winner, man. Let's bring back Gino Toretta, and
not a bad pick.
Let him be a guest picker. Somebody a little bit outside the box.
Okay, that's a good pick, man. Shelton, who's your guy?
Like I said, it's a lot to choose from because the alumni is so vast. If you want like somebody that's up there like A-lister, I will go with The Rock. You want somebody from like definitely alumni, like a legend, definitely Michael Irvin. But if you want to go like say like somebody that's underrated, like an underrated pick, I will go with my boy Danny Ramirez. He was just in the new Captain America movies, the new Falcon
Marvel movie or something.
Yeah.
He's. I met him a couple of times. I just met him at the Notre Dame game. He's a very, very, very cool person.
Okay.
Who else? My boy Ja'Cory Harris.
Okay.
Yeah. So, or me.
Fellow firefighter Ja'Cory Harris.
Me. I like Ja'Cory. I've met him a couple times. He's a very nice guy.
Very
nice guy. Yeah, he's really good. He's very approachable too. He's very good. Okay, so Q, you had, I forgot, man. You said Gino Toretta.
Gino Toretta, man. I go Gino Toretta for sure. Again, I think
Gino Toretta.
These guys that are out there, man, Michael Irvin and a lot of these guys have been, they've been on the circuit, here recently, in a lot of different outlets and a lot of different, media type situations. Again, man, our last Heisman winner, I'd like to see him get a little bit more shine. So yeah, Gino Toretta would be my pick.
Okay, and Shelton, you picked Dwayne The Rock Johnson, yourself, or Danny Ramirez?
Yeah.
Shelton be like, I'm doing it. Hit me up.
Yeah, I'm available.
Can't blame you, bro.
I agree with Shelton. I would go with Dwayne Johnson. Just because of the stature. But Jimmy Johnson is just so good on television.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, so I'm always gonna go with JJ. He's just so good on television. He's so passionate when he speaks as well.
He's awesome.
So I gotta go with JJ.
My favorite Miami coach ever. 100%.
Left too early, man. Damn Jerry Jones, man. He left too early. Left too early. That man would have had a legit dynasty if he would have continued as a Kings head coach, from recruiting to his defensive scheme to the athletes he brought in. That would have a real dynasty, a longer dynasty, you know, if he would have stayed as coach. So yeah. So guys, all great picks. All right, I agree with all of them. I think they all, even you, Shelton, you know, as yourself, you know, wearing your Superman shirt, would be a great selection. That would be a very good selection. So, but ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the Florida Gators, we have to have a word from our sponsor, Fan Outfitters. Ooh, Miami! I am proud to announce that Fan Outfitters is the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. With locations in Pembroke Pines, Davie, and Kendall, you can find the latest gear and accessories for all your favorite South Florida teams. Teams like your Miami Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, and many, many more. So if you ever find yourself in the Pembroke Pines area, Davie, or Kendall, please stop by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you are in the Kendall area, if you're in the Davie area, or if you are in the Pembroke Pines area, please stop by Fan Outfitters for your choice of Miami Hurricanes gear, Dolphins gear, Florida Panthers gear, Marlins gear, and many, many other teams. Yes, Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. All right, so now we have to talk about the. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
Maybe a question, Sean, real quick, man, for you, a little bit outside the box. If you could have played at Miami, could have played one position there, what position would that have been?
Linebacker.
Nice. And who's your favorite linebacker at Miami?
Ray Lewis. Go with Ray Lewis. Although I am definitely a fan of Perryman.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be, man. Hard not to be, dude. If you're a Miami fan, that dude, he wasn't the best ever at Miami, man, but a guy who was, you know, just I mean, a killer on the field in the best of ways, man. That dude was a leader, you know, one of the hardest hitters ever to play at Miami, man. A guy who brought it, man, brought the energy, you know, brought the wood when he hit somebody, man. I was always a DP fan for sure, man.
Yeah. No, fantastic tackler as well. Not bad in coverage either. So I mean, yeah, I agree with you.
Too, so.
Exactly. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, gentlemen. We have a situation here because we're facing the Florida Gators this upcoming Saturday night on ABC at 7:30 p.m. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the Gators. Okay, losing a tough one to USF and another tough one over against LSU over there in Baton Rouge. Lagway has not lived up to his recruiting billing. He's had a major. He's had to throw about 6 interceptions in the past 2 games and a horrific 5 interception game this last Saturday against LSU, which cost him the game. So my question to you guys is, how do you see the Gators? We'll start first with Q, and then I'll go with Shelton. How do you see the Gators right now? Watch out for them, or do you think Miami is going to run them over?
Man, the Miami fan in me, the cautious, you know, Miami fan in me, you know, says that I think there's somebody that you can't overlook. You know, the benefit, like I mentioned, man, of starting the season with who you started the season off with 2 of your 3 games, right, have been against ranked opponents. Obviously, first one being Notre Dame, and so now I think you have a natural heightened sense, you know, of urgency, right? Coming in, you're not kind of sleepwalking, you know, into the season, right? You're already, you know, kind of, you know, at a high level, I think, of preparation, you know, a sense of, you know, urgency. I think when you look at the opportunity in front of you, right, given the quarterback you have, given the team you have, and everything like that, and so, you know, a team like Florida, you know, obviously they've underwhelmed a little bit. You know, I think obviously they've fallen short of you know, what I think, I wouldn't say everybody's expectations, you know, because I think when you looked at that schedule, I think it was really hard to see. I know for me personally, I saw a lot of people on the networks, you know, picking them as kind of a dark horse. I didn't see it based on schedule, right? You know, when you're looking at I think they played, I think of all their opponents, I think they had like 6, 7 people that were in the playoff. If I'm not mistaken. It was some crazy stat like that, but definitely most people ranked and some tough road games and the whole deal. And so, I think the talent definitely has fallen short of what I think a lot of people expected from them. I've never considered Billy Napier as a coach that I think could get the most out of a talented squad. But I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was the other day, called him a live dog, and I think that's probably the best way to take a boxing term, right? Kind of the best way to look at them. I think they're a team that when you look at what they did against LSU, man, you could really make a an argument that if Lagway has a decent game, he didn't have to play great. If you played a decent game, given what that defense did, they have a chance to win that game, right? And I don't think that's something that can be lost on this team or this coaching staff. You can't just look at oh man, they lost to LSU and Lagway played terrible. Again, if Lagway didn't play, absolutely awful, I think that's a game that I think Florida could have won, right? And so, it's a team that you have to take seriously, right? And you're looking at, across the rosters and programs, a lot of familiarity, between the players and everything. And, I think it's, obviously one of these games, big rivalry game, and everything like that. And so, I for one, I am not taking this team, lightly. Again, I think when you're looking at that defense, it's a defense that is legit. I think it's a defense that can cause some problems if you're not warmed up. But again, I would not be overlooking them. I don't think, this is a game that, again, I've seen a lot of people calling for a beatdown and the whole deal. I would love nothing, nothing more than that is to see, Miami come in and handle business and win comfortably. But I have a feeling, this is going to be one of the games that, I think is going to be closer than what I think a lot of people are expecting.
Shelton, how do you view Florida?
It's a trap. I really think, Florida has one of the toughest schedules out there, and LSU has one of the best defenses I've seen. And to be honest, I know we have 2 ranked wins, but to have a rival come into the stadium and actually give us competition, I think is going to be Florida out of everybody, because they have nothing to lose now. They lost against LSU. Everybody's talking about how bad the loss was and how bad Lagway was and how he threw those 5 picks and stuff. So we honestly have a target on our back. Number 14, primetime game, in-state rival. They're gonna come in and looking to punch us in the mouth off rip. So I don't take any opponent lightly. Don't care if it's Bethune-Cookman, don't care if it's Alabama, don't care if it's Notre Dame. You do not take anybody lightly. We have did that numerous times in the past, i.e. Middle Tennessee. It was with Middle Tennessee State or Middle Tennessee
State.
Yeah. Yeah, we took them lightly, and next thing you know, they're running us out of the building. So I get they coming off a bad game, but I would not take this team lightly at all. I would definitely hit them in the mouth hard and hit them in the mouth early and keep the pressure on.
They could have won that game if they. It's funny though, because they're very conservative against South Florida, and they got criticized for that because they should have been a bit more. Even though they had 2 touchdowns called back, and one of them was very questionable, which would have won them the game. But they a little more aggressive on offense against LSU, which is a much better secondary than South Florida, and a much better defense overall, and some sick linebackers that LSU has. But if you look at them numerically speaking, these stats are pretty even. Passing yards, 287 for Florida, 220 for LSU. Rushing yards, LSU had rushed for 96 yards, but they really got that on one big run in the 4th quarter only. So
that one, 50-something yard run in the 4th. So they bottled them up until that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So Florida has a very good defense. On my numbers here, I have 10 impact players that Miami should watch out for. One of them is not playing, which is Caleb Banks, but Sapp is a very good player as well. And they have a couple guys in the secondary that we should worry about. The benefit about this game, though, is that Carson Beck's beaten them a couple times already, so he understands the personnel, being the fact that he played at Georgia. So that's one thing. Number two, we played them last year. I know last year's irrelevant; it's a different team, but you do have film on some of their players from last season, all right, as well. So I do think Miami is going to win this game. I just think it's going to be a lot closer, and it's not going to be the blowout that people are expecting, because Florida's defense is pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna deny anything, and I do agree with you, Shelton. They have nothing to lose at all. They're gonna throw everything at Miami because right now they're playing for Billy Napier's coaching life as well. So that's the thing. But Lagway has looked awful. I mean, absolutely awful. Not just from a decision standpoint, but even mechanically speaking, he's not throwing the ball well at all. So I mean, that's a major issue for Florida. And number two, from what I saw in the LSU game, which was a condensed version, he can't read a defense either, and that's a problem.
No, if you're looking at Florida on offense, man, I mean, you really have to look at the quarterback as being the weak link in the offense right now. And who would have thought at the beginning of the season that would be the case, right? If you really want to take it a step further, right, you go off the field and you look at Billy Napier, you look at, I'm not sure who their OC is and everything, I'm sure their OC is a quarterback's coach, but you're looking at the malpractice, really, if you're looking at, what you have in DJ Lagway, what he showed last year, the step he was expected to take in the offseason. And granted, Billy Napier just came out and said, listen, DJ Lagway's really only practiced for like 4 weeks, if you're taking the totality of what he's done. Which, again, take that for what it's worth and take that with a grain of salt. I mean, if that's something that, that the UN people want to give, any attention to, then you go right ahead, I guess. But, when you're looking at the kind of a little bit of what you saw in him last year, right? He wasn't great, in his time, especially against good teams. He feasted on some not good teams. Against a good team, he wasn't very good. But the step that you expected him to take, in the offseason, and kind of come into this season and really, kind of show, what he's about, and kind of that 5-star billing and the talent and the whole deal, and it just hasn't happened, right? And so, you can blame the staff all you want, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, he hasn't played well, and I would have never guessed coming into the season that he would be the weak link in this offense. The O-line is really good. You've got good running backs. You're good on the perimeter. And so, when you're thinking of what this offense could be, it just really has been, bogged down by Lagway and just his inability to read defenses. Like you mentioned, man, the mechanics aren't good. His base, kind of seems bad, if that makes sense, right? His feet, aren't good and everything like that. And so, again, and then you add to that, right, the 5 picks, right? A couple of those picks were like, what are you even looking at? Like, well, I don't understand what you're seeing out there. So, to me, if you're looking at it now on the Miami on the defensive side of the ball, if you're Corey Heatherman, you're looking at this tape and going, listen, man, we can confuse DJ Lagway, right? Switch up the looks on him, bring pressure from different places, mix up a little bit of zone, because obviously at the end of the day, man, this dude is a guy who can tuck the ball and run. Now, he's been injured. I don't know how much of that they're going to want to expose him to, especially against this Miami defense. But you can't forget that even though he hasn't really showed that this year, he's a guy who does have that ability. He's a big dude. If he gets in the open field, he's a guy that can be hard to bring down. And so, again, I don't think it's a situation where you sleep on this offense. But I think you look at it the other way, and there's some stuff that I think, Corey Heatherman and this defense can expose based on what DJ Lagway's put on tape.
Shelton, what's your take?
I definitely agree. You definitely got to take away from his weaknesses. Not be able to read the defense well. Definitely confuse him. Switching up from man to zone, or do come up show blitz and then just back off into a zone. So get him looking one way and going another way. But if you keep him in a box and kind of contain him a little bit, not really give him too much time to run around, because it seems like he's at his best when he runs, when he throws on the run sometimes. So, like I said, mix up the looks, and I think we'll be able to take him. And if you take him out of the picture, then I think we'll be fine.
And something else I want to piggyback on real quick, Will. Sorry to interrupt you. We can't discount, and something that Shelton touched on, I think coming into this game, I would venture to guess that Corey Heatherman and this staff really has to, plant this seed of, listen, we got to be ready for anything, right? Whether it's, on offense from them, whether it's on special teams. This is a team right now that is going through a ton of adversity. And those guys, when you look at obviously the age of these guys and the whole deal, you can't discount what it is that this negative, media attention is bringing to this team, right? I think culturally, this is a team that has to be, fractured at minimum, right? This is a locker room that I think has to feel this pressure, right? You're looking at a staff who definitely has to be feeling the pressure. They got to be listening to everything, hearing a lot of stuff, whether it's from loved ones, from wives, girlfriends, whatever the case may be, and they know that they're up against it. They know their backs are against the wall. So I say that to say you have to plant the seed if you're, in my opinion, if you're the Miami staff, and say, listen, these guys have nothing to lose, right? Just like Shelton mentioned, these guys have nothing to lose, right? So you have to be prepared for some trick plays, right? Like what do teams do, when they can't beat you straight up, right? They implement some trick plays, right? Some stuff that they haven't put on tape before, some stuff that maybe, has been there, they just haven't used. And so, you have to be on high alert for that kind of stuff, right? Whether it's a flea flicker, whether it's, a quarterback, kind of going out for a pass, I don't know, something, some kind of reverse on a punt return, something, right? Some stuff maybe to even out the, the game and maybe try and win in the margins a little bit. To kind of try and even things up, because I think if you're going head to head, if you're looking at what this offense is going to be able to do against the Miami defense, and vice versa, right? I mean, the Florida defense, you're looking at it and you're going, hey, how are they going to get after Carson Beck? They're one of the worst, in terms of the numbers and the PFF ranks and everything. They're one of the worst, teams going after the quarterback in the country, right? And so, when you're looking at how that bodes for your game plan and for your ability to win the game, I mean, it's not good, right? If you can't get after Carson Beck and you give him time and you're giving the receivers time to get open and everything, he's going to pick you apart. They're going to carve you up, right? And so, again, I think on both sides of the ball, you have to be ready for them to switch things up and to bring some different looks and to kind of, some trick plays and that kind of thing, in order to kind of try and get this, this thing going in the right direction.
Yeah, so before we go into Shelton's story, I want to get your keys to the game. I want to get Shelton. I want to get your keys to the game on offense, and I want to get, then after you're done, I want to get Q's keys to the game on defense, and then we'll go into Shelton's backstory on the reasons why he's uniformed up, every single Saturday at Hard Rock. So starting first with Shelton, what are your keys to the game on offense? What does Miami have to do? What does Shannon Dawson have to do to make sure that we come out with a W on Saturday night at the Rock?
Don't be one-dimensional. Spread the ball around. Give definitely the Florida Gators multiple looks and keep them guessing. Don't, like, if it's an obvious run play and you need to run it, try to shy away from that and not try to run it up the middle like every time. And even though that's our strong point, but there is sometimes you can exploit the end around and go around the tackle or around the guard or something like that. Keep Beck clean. The offensive line has done a tremendous job. He's barely been sacked all season. I think he had like 2 sacks already, 3 sacks so far.
Not many, yeah. Something like that, only a couple sacks.
Yeah, no more than 3.
I think So you have to just keep him clean, and let the wide receiver shine. Especially with Malachi Tony and all of and we have a young core. I think I don't really know if we have any seniors, senior wide receivers.
CJ Daniels is a senior wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a senior.
And I think that's about it. I think Keelan Marion has another year of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
He has one more. He has one more year of eligibility.
But we have a wide receiver core that's hungry. They are hungry. They can catch. Feed them the ball.
Okay. Q, your takes on D.
We want offense or defense?
Defense.
All right, so defense. So Miami on defense. I think it's going to be important for for Corey Heatherman, to just create some looks and some fronts that I think are going to continue to confuse DJ Lightweight. I think, he showed that, in the LSU game. I think he can be confused. I think you can definitely, have him back there thinking way too much. I think he's a guy that is a one read type of guy at this point in his career. He hasn't developed, really any more than that. And a guy who you want to keep in the pocket and make him make mistakes, right? I think Florida's got a really good offensive line. But again, I think, Miami's shown that, they're going to be able to they can get home with 4. I mean, it's a team that doesn't have to blitz, right? You're looking at Miami's 2 leading tacklers. Do we know who Miami's 2 leading tacklers are? It's Bain and Mesidor.
Yeah.
Right. And so what does that tell you? They're getting home, right? They're getting home. They're creating, negative plays, tackles for loss, that kind of thing. And so, if they're getting home with 4, that means you've got 7 people, behind you that are free to run, that are free to roam, free to make plays. And so, again, man, I think, credit to Florida's O-line, because I think they're really good. But I think this is going to be for sure, and no disrespect to LSU's, front 4, but I would take Miami's front 4. I think Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton over at LSU, I think those guys are good. I don't think they're as good, right? None of them, nobody in the country is playing as good as Bain right now. I mean, if we're being honest and upfront with it, he's a guy who's a disruptor. Mesidor is playing his natural position now, which is the end, and it's looking like it. The guy's looking, unblockable right now. And so, again, they're going to have to get home with 4. I think, it's going to be, up to Corey Heatherman, like I said, to give this guy some looks that are going to make him think way too much and put him in difficult situations and make him turn the ball over.
Yeah, I'm just glad we're no longer in the days where Ruben Bain is being put in coverage and Mesidor is being put in coverage. I'm glad those days are gone. I remember poor Mesidor in the Syracuse game and Bain in the Virginia Tech game, that they dropped those 2 back. The one to cover the flats, one to cover the middle of the field. So I'm glad those days are gone.
Seeing the replay of Mesidor out there in the flat, I remember looking and going, "What is that Mesidor out there in the? What are we doing right now? Who thinks that it's a good idea for that guy to be running in the flat?"
The funny thing about that, Q, is that he was playing a hybrid last year. He was both playing tackle and end, so he was bigger, bulkier last year, and you wanted him to chase down running backs. He looks a lot leaner now this year, since he is playing, basically full-time end. So I'm very happy that Heatherman's using him in the right, and basically his natural position in the right way as well. Shelton, you have a fantastic story, on how you decided to put on that uniform as well. The University of Miami, Coach Cristobal also recognized that as well. So who doesn't know your story, on why you are the 12th man? Can you share that with the 305 Sports Now crew?
Well, it all started in the late 90s. My mom, who's a former City of Miami police officer, used to get tickets to the UM games, while she was doing off-duty security for the games. She used to get tickets from people, and she gave the tickets to my dad, and my dad took me and my brother, and then that's when the love affair with the Hurricanes came. Fast forward to a couple years later, we became season ticket holders for the first time, and in 2009, we decided to go to our first road game, which will be Tallahassee FSU versus Miami. That was the one with Ja'Cory led the Hurricanes back in the fourth quarter. That was one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
What a game!
It was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember. It's an infamous picture of Ja'Cory walking out of the stadium, throwing up the U, and to the crowd, to the UM fans that was left in the stadium. And in the background, you can see me and my brother in that picture. So, speaking of my brother, he was basically my best friend. He was special needs, but I never looked at him as a special needs person. I just seen him as my best friend. Very, very caring, loving person. After that game, he developed some type of cough. We thought it was just a cold, but it just got worse. And I woke up one night and I heard him like coughing like very hoarsely. And I told my mom we have to take him to the hospital. So we took him to the hospital, found out he had walking pneumonia. So we just thought it was a cold. It was just pneumonia. So we took to the hospital, and they had to stay in the hospital. That at that time we had tickets to, I think it was the Georgia Tech. I think it was the Georgia Tech game, and I didn't feel right going to a game without my brother because we would go to each game, together all the time. So I wouldn't feel right. So I gave my ticket. I gave my ticket up, and I watched the game in the hospital with him. So we were watching the Georgia Tech game, and the Canes come out, and in his own way, he asked me, "When am I going to do that?" And I looked at him. I'm like, "Do what?" And he said, "Do that." And I look up at the screen, and I'm like, "You want me to play football?" I'm like, "That's a little too late for me." Uh, and he's like, "No, just do that. Just and I'm asking him like, "Oh, you want me to suit up?" And like, yeah, he said it as a joke, and I thought he was just joking as well. So I joked back with him. I was like, "Okay, for one game, I would suit go to a game all suited up because we collected jerseys, helmets, memorabilia, and all that." And he said, "Okay." He got out of the hospital a couple days later, and then he went back into the hospital because his condition came back. Some fluid built up in his lungs, and it came back. And during that time, I was going to school, and I had a full-time job. So I was in between my job and school. I was at the hospital visiting him, and it was very, very tiring and very, very, draining on me. So my mom suggested I should go to the USF game that season. It was in Tampa. My sister lives in Tampa, and she said, go to the game, take your mind, everything. We'll take care of them. I just want you to clear your head. And I reluctantly said yes, but in the pit of my stomach, it just didn't feel right. So I was packing my things one night, getting ready to go on the game, and I just couldn't sleep. Something didn't feel right. The phone rings, and it was the hospital, and they asked to speak to my mom. I gave the phone to my mom, and it was like about 3:00 in the morning. And then as soon as I gave my phone to my mom, she just started crying, and she told me that my brother has passed away. And at that moment, I could not collect myself. I'm thinking like this is a dream, and because I was just talking to him, and now he's gone. It just felt so surreal. Then we went to the hospital to go see him, and walking towards the ICU where he was at felt like one of the longest walks I've ever had. It felt like cement was in my feet. All my steps were heavy and everything. And then I saw him, and then that's when I broke down. After the funeral, we buried him. We buried him in his jersey, which he wore to the games with me. And after the funeral, my parents created a memorial scholarship foundation for special needs kids. It's basically to help the parents of these kids pay for the education for the school that he went to. He went to the Marian Center, which is a school ran by nuns from Italy. And they help kids with special needs even throughout their adulthood. And I used to volunteer at the school regularly with my brother, DJing their special events and everything. And when they created that Memorial Scholarship Foundation, I was thinking about, I wanted a way to honor him, and I was thinking, well, what can I do? During that season, at the end of the season, the Canes were selected to play in the Champs Sports Bowl in Orlando. So I thought about what I said to my brother in the hospital, and I said, I guess I guess I could do that. I'll honor him then. So that's when I got shoulder pads, knee pads, and everything, since I already have the jersey and the helmet. So I went to the Chance Sports Bowl, all decked up, and people were just staring and just wondering, why is this player out here? And the teams are on the inside, and they played. They There was a whole bunch of Wisconsin fans coming up to me asking, why am I doing this? So I explained why am I all suited up, and some of the Wisconsin fans actually donated towards the scholarship. And I came home, I think, with about almost $500 in donations. So after the Chance Sports Bowl, it just snowballed into what it is now. And that was in 2009. So I've been going to every home game, every away game, all suited up for the last 16 years in honor of my brother. And now this season, I do it in honor of my brother and my father, who we just buried like 2 weeks ago.
Shelton, that's an amazing story. It really is. You have a great heart. I just want to tell you that right now. You have a great heart, and God is doing things with you that are unbelievable. You are a testimony. You are a testimony for your family, for your community, and I just want to say thank you for representing the fan base the way you do as a Cane, representing your family, and your father raised an amazing son. And you're also an amazing big brother. And I could honestly tell you, there should be more people like you in this world with a heart like you have.
Yeah,
I just wanted to tell you that. And I mean that, and I mean that sincerely. I mean that sincerely.
That's kind of the reason why I want to become a police officer. If I can actually change somebody's life or be a positive light in somebody's life, and affect one person, then I don't think my job is done if I can affect just one person. And it's too much negativity in this world right now, and I just want to be just something positive. Even though I lost special people in my life, I just want to show people that there is light on the other side of the tunnel.
That's awesome, dude. You're to piggyback off of Will said, man. I mean, definitely agree with all that. And man, when you talk about affecting lives, man, I mean, you're going into you're picking a career that you're going to get the chance to do that. Take it from somebody who's been on the job for over 20 years, man. That a lot of people have this negative connotation, with cops and everything like that. But I've always said, man, listen. You don't know how much you appreciate them till you need them, right? And fortunately for most of us, right, calling 911 isn't a daily part of our lives. But let me tell you, man, when you do have to call 911, you're really happy, that those guys show up, right? And we've got a good working relationship up here on my end of things, man, with the guys in blue. And it looks like you're definitely gonna be an asset to that field and to the people you're gonna serve, man. So congratulations on that, man. And hoping all the best for you in your career.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I just want to let you know, if you ever want to come on and just talk about anything, your progress, even aside from Canes, but if you want to talk about your progress in the academy, how it's going and so on, things you're doing in your community, you're more than welcome to come on the show and chop it up with me and Q or myself, or even a Q show as well. As well, man.
Let's definitely do it again soon, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we definitely will. I'll definitely keep y'all posted, because it's going to be a long journey, but I'm excited for it. This is a new chapter in my life, and I am willing to share it. All the positive things that I'll have a chance to do. So I will definitely take you up on that.
Yeah. And Shelton, man, thank you for everything you've done, man. I mean, for everything, the fan base, your community, becoming a police officer as well. But let us know, if people don't know, if whoever isn't following your social media, let us know where we can find you, so people could follow you and keep, and just chat some Canes with you, and or anything else that you would like to talk about as well.
You can find me on X at the 12th man, DA12THMAN. Also the same for Instagram. I try to reach out to everybody that messages me, everybody that tags me. I try to reply as much as I can. You know, I do get a lot of messages and stuff, but I am willing to reply as much as I can. And if anybody sees me at the games, do not be shy. Come say hi. I will say hi back. I'll give you a hug. I'll wave. I'll take pictures with the kids and whatnot. Whatever. If I can make you smile, then I'll do that. So.
Okay, you got it, folks. Look up Shelton on Instagram and also on X. Q, you got anything lined up?
Yeah, man. I get together with Russ tomorrow. Another episode of College Blitz. I need to. I've just been busy, with a few things, man. A little tired from work. I was snoozing until not long before we got on. It was a long day and night. So I was kind of recovering, but I'm going to get on the I Hate Football podcast here. Hopefully tomorrow before I get on with Russ. But no later than Friday, and I'll be putting a little something out, on the solo side of things. But yeah, man, you can find me on Hate Football Pod on X, I Hate Football Podcast on Instagram and YouTube, and obviously, very often on 305 Sports now and everything like that. So yeah, man, check me out, like and subscribe, do me a huge favor, and yeah, man, we'll be seeing you guys really soon.
All right, awesome. We got that, ladies and gentlemen. Please look up Shelton on X and IG. Of course, Q on YouTube and also on IG as well. And don't forget, he's also part of the FTSN Extra Network with Russ Morgan in College Football Blitz. They do a great job. And Russ does a heck of a job with college football, but he's one of the most brilliant baseball minds you will ever come across. I can honestly say, yeah, he completely is former scout, man. What do you expect? All right, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll look past that.
I'm a Yankees fan. Relax. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here at Our Take. You, thank you so much once again. Shelton, thank you so much as well for joining the show. Again, you're always welcome to come on and talk a little Canes football as well. But if you like what you heard, all right, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am Will for Shelton and Q. God bless. See y'all soon. Be Florida. Go Canes, guys. All about the U. Bye-bye.